Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Under the Radar. Thanks for tuning in. So in the first episode, I covered cassettes and 4-tracks and a couple different bands, one of which was Rebel Jedi, who's going to end up having to bleed into this one a little too. But this was a time, again, this was like when we didn't have CD burners even, like that wasn't even a thing. We had cassettes, and then bands would release, unless you were on some record label that was pressing your CD, like that was the only way you were going to get, a record out. But when you're in high school or junior high and playing in a band, likely not as much, unless you get on some compilation or something, which is also something that I'll be bringing up a bit in this series, is compilations, because I feel like today's like Spotify playlists are basically like the digital version of a compilation album. You know what I mean? So anyway, so that being said, since we didn't have the ability to burn CDs and just hand them out, we'd make cassettes, or bands would do, an old school method, which was called pressing vinyl. And nowadays vinyl has come back like, threefold. It's like the highest selling physical format of music. So today's episode is going to revolve around and spotlight the artist Adhesive, which was a band from McHenry, Illinois. This band's style was kind of like very, I don't want to say indie rock because I feel like that cheapens it, but it was very much more post-punk. I would say post-punk more. Kind of like Discord records or Touch and Go records, like those kinds of bands. And anyway, they were the first band that I had ever heard in like the McHenry area / Johnsburg area that actually physically pressed a record. And it was really cool. It was on orange, or it is on orange vinyl. And it was actually a split with a band called Filament, which I believe was the same members of Adhesive, but with a different drummer. Anyway, the very first show that I ever attended was actually the Rebel Jedi playing at Johnsburg Community Club with Adhesive, which is kind of cool that the last episode could kind of bleed into that. But anyway, the year of this release was 1997. The label was on Drop D label, which I believe was just their own label, a little DIY release, and I think that was the only one in their little catalog. But this record was recorded by John Emerson, who, if you're from the time period that I'm talking about, the mid to late 90s, even the early 2000s, if you were around, he was a guy from Elgin, Illinois, who was always doing sound for nearly every band, like every show, like all those bands, Slapstick and Smoking Popes and all those kinds of bands. But he would be at these VFW halls or wherever, and people would hire him to come. And if the show did well, he did well. If the show didn't do well, he didn't. He just loved music. He was a really cool guy. And he actually would record a lot of the bands. I think he recorded some of the Slapstick's first material. I think he recorded Jerkwater, which was Matt Skiba's old band before he joined the Traders and then eventually formed Alkaline Trio and now is in Blink-182. Yeah, he recorded pretty much every early incarnation of every big band from the Northwest, like suburbs, I would say, during that kind of time period. It was also just a really nice guy, really awesome dude. He passed away, I want to say he passed away a little under a decade ago. Definitely a guy that's missed amongst a lot of people. I'm fortunate to have played shows where he did sound, and I can vouch that he was one of the coolest dudes ever. But yeah, so John Emerson recorded this 7-inch, and the band was comprised of Jeremy Judy on drums, who's the guy that I know, and this guy named Matt Schneider played bass on the record. But the thing is like Matt Schneider was a beast on the guitar. He was just probably like the most talented guy around our area as far as being able to just shred and whatnot. And I believe like he went on to play in maybe some side projects with some of the members of like Tortoise and stuff like that. Another awesome Chicago band. But I don't know the exact names of those bands. But he was just very high caliber musician. Jeremy, solid drummer, went on later to play in a band called The Before Picture, actually, which was on Post 436 Records, which was a label that released the first full-length album that I ever made with my band Midwest Blue. But like I said in the previous episode, I was talking a lot about the Rebel Jedi, how they would play out. Well, this band was older than us and older than the Rebel Jedi dudes, and they were playing Fireside Bowl, they were playing Big Horse Lounge, they were playing all kinds of community clubs. I'm probably not even going to list off as many of the amazing bands that they played with as they did, but I mean, they played with bands like Fraudus and Dismemberment Plan and Nim, Baxter, Shellac, Steve Albini, Dianoga. But the Adhesive songs on this vinyl, there were 2 songs on it by Adhesive and 2 by Filament, and the 2 Adhesive songs, track 1 was Lomo 1. And track 2 is Past Bonnie Bray. So as I've said, I really like to document these things, and I'm the kind of guy that would actually create some sort of page of all these, songs and music if I didn't think people would get mad at me, because there's things that I've done in the past that I don't want anybody to hear that stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm pleased to say that recently, as I was talking to Jeremy Judy, he just let me know that he had created a Bandcamp page where you can get all of the entire Adhesive discography, and you can download it or stream it if you want to. There's a whole lot more. All I ever had was this, and still to this day. But now, thanks to the internet and Jeremy Judy, you can go to adhesivechicago.bandcamp.com, and you can download the Olive Room demo. You can download the live 88.7 WZRD Chicago performance that they did on air. You can download the John Emerson demo and the Ghetto Love demo. And then the John Emerson demo is obviously where this 7-inch came from. But if you like any of the stuff that you're hearing on this, feel free to go check out adhesivechicago.bandcamp.com. And I'm looking forward to doing another episode here shortly. I think the next artist will be the first CD that I ever bought, and I mean that in the sense of the first pressed CD that I ever bought from a local band that was in our area. So that will be next after this. But if you want to, feel free to leave a comment about the first 7-inch that you ever made or that you ever got, in the scene that you were in. Feel free to start a conversation in the comments below, and thank you for your time.